his colleagues. See Chapter 2 has been forgotten. The patients who come into our clinic report that the treatment they have previously received from their migraine or tension headaches is invariably with medication. Another example of the regression of contemporary medicine. We are reading page 26 of The Divided Mind. The perceived need for frequent urination is psychosomatic except when it is related to diabetes, renal, cardiac, or adrenal disease, bladder infection, or an enlarged prostate. It is very common. That's important right there. Let me read that again. The perceived need for frequent urination is psychosomatic except when it is related to diabetes, renal, cardiac, or adrenal disease, bladder infection, or an enlarged prostate. It is very common. A careful history will reveal that in many cases the habit of getting up frequently during the night to urinate is not brought on by a full bladder but by a mild form of insomnia. The person is programmed by the unconscious to awaken and then programmed to have the urge to urinate. It has been documented in the medical literature that prosthesis in young men is commonly related to stress when not due to an obvious infection. Most sexual dysfunction is psychologically based at any age. Though it is well known that libido decreases with age, emotional factors may still be responsible for sexual difficulties in the elderly. Both of these conditions may be signs of disorders of the nerves or the ears, but they are most commonly benign and psychosomatic. I once experienced vertigo that lasted only a few hours. It ended when I was able to identify the psychological basis for it. Man, that is very eye-opening right there. Let me read that again. Page 26 from The Divided Mind. Both of these conditions may be signs of disorders of the nerves or the ears, but they are most commonly benign and psychosomatic. I once experienced vertigo that lasted only a few hours. It ended when I was able to identify the psychological basis for it. Disorders attributed to activity of the immune peptide system. The disorders described up to this point are the most common of a very large group, all of them activated by the autonomic peptide system. A second group of ailments is associated with the body's immune system. Again, we include the peptide communication system because of the role it plays in the interaction between brain and body. It is not known what determines the unconscious mind's choice of which system to employ, but it makes no difference since the purpose of all the symptoms is the same, to distract the conscious mind. So it's talking about the diseases that manifest within us, that some of these diseases are being brought onto our body to distract our conscious mind. Page 27, the middle of the paragraph, here we go. With the immune peptide system, the disorder may induced by either overactive or underactive immune function. Overactive immune activity leads to allergic phenomenon, allergic rhinitis, asthma, a large number of skin problems, eczema, hives, acne, psoriasis. The question invariably arises, aren't allergic reactions caused by allergens like grass pollens? The answer is yes, but such allergens are merely triggers. They are foreign substances and the immune system is designed to repel foreign invaders. I'm going to repeat that. The question invariably arises, aren't allergic reactions caused by allergens like grass pollens? The answer is yes, but such allergens are merely triggers. They are foreign substances and the immune system is designed to repel foreign invaders. However, not everyone reacts to grass pollens. If your unconscious mind causes your immune system to overreact, the system is said to be hyperactive or hypersensitive. Both terms denote an allergic reaction. This excessive sensitivity of your immune system is not to protect you from foreign substances, but to keep your conscious attention focused on your body. This excessive sensitivity of your immune system is not to protect you from foreign substances, but to keep your conscious attention focused on the body. Conversely, the unconscious mind may do the opposite. Man, this was a great paragraph. Let's read this again. This is coming to you from The Divided, right there. The Divided Mind. The question invariably arises, aren't allergic reactions caused by allergens like grass pollens? The answer is yes, but such allergens are merely triggers. They are foreign substances and the immune system is designed to repel foreign invaders. However, not everyone reacts to grass pollens. If your unconscious mind causes your immune system to overreact, the system is said to be hyperactive or hypersensitive. Both terms denote an allergic reaction. This excessive sensitivity of your immune system is not to protect you from foreign substances, but to keep your conscious attention focused on the body. Conversely, the unconscious mind may do the opposite. Wow, this is a great book. May do the opposite to deflect attention from itself. It may decrease the efficiency of the immune system and render the person susceptible to infection. Recurrent infections of any kind are usually an indication of this process. The infections must be treated medically, but they will continue to reoccur if they are not treated psychologically as well. If you're watching and you're having some health issues and the doctors can't figure it out, this book is for you. Check this out. Page 28, coming from The Divided Mind. The infections must be treated medically, but they will continue to reoccur if they are not treated psychologically as well. It is highly significant that many of the people suffering from the pain of TMS who have participated in our therapeutic program have reported the disappearance of allergies or frequent infections simultaneously with the cessation of pain. Most people with TMS have a history of one or more of these autonomic or immune systems conditions. Indeed, it would be most unusual to find someone who has never experienced one or more mind-body symptoms. One is forced to the conclusion that psychosomatic reactions and therefore the emotions that cause them are universal. It is important to recognize that they are not illnesses. They are a part of life, part of the human condition. This should become clear when the psychology of the mind-body disorders is described in detail in Chapter 3. Disorders produced by the neuroendocrine peptide system. There is still a third medium of transferring mind-body disorders from the mind to the body. It is the neuroendocrine peptide system, which governs the body's hormonal distribution. The disorders associated with it are a small but distinct group of conditions that seem to fall somewhere between the physical and the psychological in their manifestations: bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and chronic fatigue. The desire, here we go, page 29, the Divided Mind. One more page, guys, and then I have to go run. If you're watching my videos, we're gonna start covering more books. We're gonna really dissect how to have a healthy mind and how to have a healthy body. Remember, your body is the one place you have to be in. So make sure you treat it very well and you understand that living healthy and a healthy life, there are going to be some sacrifices you have to give up. You can't eat junk food. You can't party all night. Sleep is important. You have to eat healthy. You have to drink more water, but it's all worth it because your body is the one place you always have to be in. It is the true vehicle you drive here on earth. All right, here we go. Page 29, The Divided Mind. The desire to overeat or the inability to eat at all seems to point to some strong emotional factor, though it would not be surprising in today's medical atmosphere for someone to come forward with a purely physical explanation for them. Bulimia and anorexia nervosa are generally treated psychiatrically. Bulimia and anorexia nervosa are generally treated psychiatrically. As for the neurasthenia, a group of physicians representing 3 of Britain's Royal Colleges studied the problem and issued a report in 1996 suggesting that psychological factors were primary in the disorder and that a therapeutic program consisting of physical activity and psychotherapy was the most effective of those tried. Oh, that's interesting. Let's reread that. Okay. Britain's Royal Colleges studied the problem and issued a report in 1996 suggesting that psychological factors were primary in the disorder and that a therapeutic program consisting of physical activity and psychotherapy was the most effective of those tried. There is an anecdotal evidence based on numerous letters I have received from readers that exposure to my book Healing Back Pain has relieved many people with their neurasthenia. This is logical since the underlying psychology for this is the same as for TMS. A paper published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1993 entitled Neuroendocrine Immune Interactions concluded with this statement: central nervous system influences on the immune system are well documented and provide a mechanism by which emotional states could influence the course of diseases involving immune function. Whether emotional factors can influence the course of autoimmune disease, cancer, infections in humans is a subject of intense research that has not been satisfactorily resolved at this time. The paper addressed the influence of the neuroendocrine network on the immune system and so has relevance to the allergic and infectious process referred to above, as well as the broad fields of autoimmune disease and cancer. It is introduced here because it is likely that the neuroendocrine network is also responsible for bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and neurasthenia. Once again, the peptide network provides the mechanism by which emotional states are able to induce physical one. That is a great last sentence. Let's repeat that right here. Once again, the peptide network provides the mechanism by which emotional states are able to induce physical one. Emotional states are able to induce physical ones. Moving on to page 30. Let me keep going. This book is addicting. Bulimia, anorexia nervosa, and neurasthenia are quasi-physical equivalents of TMS. Experience strongly suggests that anxiety, depression, and obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, are purely emotional conditions are equivalent as well. Recalling the symptom imperative mentioned earlier, I have observed that some patients, upon being relieved of the pain of TMS by some chemical therapy or a placebo, become anxious or depressed rather than developing another physical symptom. But then when their emotional symptoms were relieved by tranquilizing or antidepressant medication, their body pains returned. Others who were suffering the symptoms of TMS and OCD simultaneously had relief of both while participating in the TMS therapeutic program. The conclusion is inescapable that the psychology behind both the physical and affective emotional disorders is the same, and that people whose pain is replaced. Oh, here we go. The conclusion is inescapable that the psychology behind both the physical and affective disorders is the same, and that people whose pain is replaced by anxiety or depression are also experiencing the symptom imperative. That is a daring statement, for it presumes to express an opinion about the origin of anxiety and depression disorders in the domain psychology psychiatry. Nevertheless, it is being suggested that, like psychosomatic symptoms, affective states are also reactions to powerful emotions in the unconscious mind that are threatening to become conscious, and it follows that good medicine requires first acknowledging those unconscious emotions and then dealing with them. Treating anxiety or depression with medications without in-depth psychotherapy is poor medicine and may even be dangerous if the symptom imperative leads to a serious disorder like one of the many autoimmune maladies or cancers. There are not fanciful conclusions based on conjecture, they derive from irrefutable clinical experience. Irrefutable clinical experience. A word about the peptide network. The scientist who has contributed most to an understanding of this crucially important system, who has in fact written about the biochemistry of emotions, is Dr. Cadence Pert. She has described her work in her book, Molecules of Emotions, which should be read by all professionals interested in the mechanics of how emotions induce physical symptoms. The peptide network explains the physical part of the psychosomatic process, but it also explains the placebo effect, namely how blind faith can lead to the amelioration of symptoms. It has been stated already that the placebo effect may be dangerous because of the symptom imperative, but treating the symptom rather than the cause is poor medicine in any event because it is almost invariably temporary whether or not it leads to a substitute symptom. Placebos take many forms: surgery, a variety of other physical treatments, and pharmaceuticals. If the celestial architect were to suddenly abolish the placebo effect in humans, there would be economic chaos, particularly in the United States, for much medical treatment today owes its success, such as it is, to the placebo phenomenon. The current status of mind-body medicine. In view of our success in the treatment of pain disorders, my colleagues and I are often asked why more patients and physicians don't subscribe to these theories. It's a good question and not easy to answer. The reasons are many and some of them subtle. It's very good. Why most people cannot accept the idea of mind-body disorders. Experience suggests that in the United States, only 10 to 20% of people with psychosomatic disorder are able to accept the fact that their symptoms are emotional in origin. Many are downright hostile to the idea. Though there are large numbers who seek psychotherapy or psychoanalysis, they represent only a small portion of the entire population. All right, if you haven't done so already, subscribe. I have to go run. Talk to you guys later.